Now this is our first step on the lathe, and what we're aiming to do is just firstly just get our timber round. So we're going to set it up in the lathe, make sure it's all secure, make sure everything's all right, and then we'll start to turn that so it's all nice and round. Okay, so just looking at the lathe firstly, over here on this side here we have the headstock, we have the motor there, it's run by some gears and pulleys, okay, and then you have your spindle, okay, that we're going to have our drive spindle. That's where we're going to have our spur center attached into here. Okay, that's going to drive and spin our material. On this side, down on this side, we have our tailstock. Okay, so this we can loosen it, we can adjust it and slide it down along the bed, depending on the length of the material or the stock that we're turning. Okay, before you use anything, make sure you know how to turn these things off. Okay, so we have some stop buttons located down here, an emergency stop button there, and then down around this side here, we have a stop button down there. Okay, so just be aware of how to turn the machine off. Okay, when you are using a lathe, safety is the most important thing. Okay, you don't want to have any loose clothing, you don't want to have any loose apparel, jewelry, anything like that. So just remove it, tie it up, put an apron on, and you need to have a face shield and safety glasses on. Okay. Set this up in the lathe. So what we're going to do is match up our center with the spur center. Okay, that goes in, and then move our tailstock up into position. Okay. And then clamp that back to the bed, nice and tight. Now this one here, we just want to loosen our adjuster and then tighten that screw so that we have as much tension pushing into our stock as possible so that it's not going to move. Okay, so I want to keep tightening that as far as it will go. Okay, and then tighten this one up here as well. Just going to give it a bit of a test. Okay, that's not moving in there. The next thing we need to do is set up our tool post. Okay, so the tool post, this top of the tool post is what holds our chisel. Okay, so the chisel sits here, it rests there as we go and we turn and we chisel down our material. That has to sit just below the center between both of these centers. Okay, so if we can imagine there's an imaginary line between the two, get that at that height. Usually I'll get myself about eye level, so I'll crouch down so I can see what I'm doing. Okay, and that looks like that's at a pretty good height. Okay, you can look down and see that you only want to have about a 5mm gap between your tool rest and the stock that you're cutting. Okay, you don't want it to be too close and you don't want it to be too far away either. Now that we have this all set up in the lathe, the first thing we're going to do is we're just going to turn this till it's a cylinder. We're not going to go any further than that. Okay, and we're going to do that in sections of about 50mm. So I'm going to hit this section here first. Once I've got that perfectly a cylinder, then I'm going to move to the next 50mm. Stop and check every so often just to make sure. So I'm just going to spin it around to see if I've got it a perfect cylinder, which I haven't just yet, so I'm going to go a little bit more. So now I can see that I have this perfectly round. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the next part and so on. Okay, so now we've got that all nice perfect cylinder, we're up to the next step. The next step is what we're going to do is we're going to just turn down the end of our handle so that we can fit our external ferrule over the top. Okay, and I'll show you how. To mark the height of our recess, we're just going to use our external ferrule, sit it flush on the edge, put a mark here, okay, turn our lathe on, and where that mark is, we're just going to pencil in, okay. Now is we need to get the internal diameter, and we need to make sure that we can check that. So using our outside calipers, we're going to set that to the same diameter as the internal measurement, okay? And I actually like to go slightly larger, that way we can always take material off. So I'll make that slightly larger, and what we're going to do is we're going to turn this section down to that diameter so that our external ferrule slots over that nicely, nice and tight fit. Okay, what we're going to use here to turn that down is just our parting tool. Okay, you'll need to make sure that you set it at the tool rests at the right height. So I've just dropped that down a little bit, and we're going to come along here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just do a couple of grooves. I'm going to get those grooves to the right diameter, okay, and then we're going to close all those grooves up. Hopefully they should all be the right size. It's really important when you do this to be oversized and not undersized. If you are a little bit bigger, we can always come back and take material off, okay? If it's too small, we can't add material to it. So you're going to have a loose fitting external ferrule on the top of your shovel handle, okay? So to start off with, okay, let's just get our shoulder nice and tight. So I'm going to stop and I'm going to check. So this here, you need to do a lot of stopping and a lot of checking. So that diameter in there should be the same between these 2 points. So what we do is we just push it down, and if it pushes through, we know it's the right size. So at the moment it's not going through, so I need to go a little bit more. Okay. So I'm going to do a little bit at a time. Again, I don't want to go too small, because if it's too small, gone too far. So I'm nearly there. One little bit more. Okay. And we're going to stop and we're going to check. Now, it's nearly pushing through. Okay, what we're going to do now is we're going to step that over about 20-30 mil, and we're going to do the same thing here. Okay, and we're going to stop and we're going to check this groove as well. Okay, not quite there yet. Stop and let's check. And it just pushes through. So I'm happy with that. I'm going to move to the next groove again. Let's stop again and we'll check. So it's really important you stop and check a lot. It's nearly pushing through. I reckon one more. Okay, and I'm just going to do the front as well. Okay, now that we've got all of these grooves, these four grooves even, they're all at the height or the which should be slightly bigger than the internal diameter of that external ferrule. Okay, we're going to get our roughing gouge now, and we're just going to take down all these middle parts. Just get that height set a little bit better for our roughing gouge. Okay, before we go too far, the last chisel I'm going to use here is a scraping tool. Okay, so the scraping tool, you're just going to come in and just smooth that surface off and level it out. Okay, and we're going to check. So we'll take this out of the tool holder and we'll just check with our external ferrule if it fits. It's a little bit oversized at this size. That's okay, so we know that we can take a little bit more off and we can still get a nice tight fit with our external ferrule on there. So let's do that now. So we'll put it back in. We also actually want to turn a slight taper. So we want to have a taper at the front so that allows this external ferrule to slide on and to fit there nice and tight. So we will use this scraping tool to do so. I'll get a little bit of a taper at the front. I will stop and I will check again. Okay. So we can see it is getting very close. It's not going to go on yet, but it is a lot closer. So let's try this one again. Very close to being a nice tight fit. So we won't take any more.